Ever walk through the grocery store and just like marvel at the seafood counter?
Seriously.
I mean, salmon from Norway, shrimp from Thailand. It's like a global buffet right there.
Makes you wonder how it all actually gets there, you know?
Right. And that's where today's deep dive comes in. We're talking about the unsung heroes of the seafood world, the folks who make those international feasts possible, import-export managers.
Pulling back the curtain on what they actually do, all with a little help from RoleCatcher's career guide.
Exactly. And spoiler alert, it's way more than just knowing your tuna from your tilapia.
Oh, way more.
Like the guide mentions this whole thing about, get this, installing and maintaining procedures.
Right, right.
Sounds a little dry, but I have a feeling it's anything but. Am I right?
Oh, you have no idea. Think about you're juggling shipments from all over the world, each country with its own set of rules and regulations. It's like a giant, delicate, delicious puzzle.
And you're the one putting it all together.
Exactly. Making sure it all flows smoothly. You're the bridge between the folks selling the dream of fresh caught whatever and the people actually making it happen.
So it's like conducting an orchestra, but instead of instruments, it's like crates of crab legs.
Exactly. And you better believe those crab legs need to arrive on time in pristine condition. That's a lot of pressure.
Speaking of pressure, the guide also stresses the whole problem-solving aspect of the job. What kind of curveballs are we talking about here? What could possibly go wrong?
Oh my goodness, where do I even begin? Shipments get delayed, weather throws things off, regulations change out of the blue, you have to be quick on your feet,
Hmm.
think fast, and most importantly, you got to keep that seafood moving.
Time is money, but in this case, it's also the difference between fresh fish and, well, not so fresh fish.
Exactly.
Makes those office fire drills seem a little less stressful, huh?
Just a tad.
And speaking of the office, the guide mentions that this role can actually take you to all sorts of settings. It's not always a desk job, is it?
Absolutely not. One day you might be at your computer, coordinating shipments across continents. The next you might find yourself at a bustling processing plant, elbow deep. Well, not literally,
Oh.
but you get the idea.
Getting your hands dirty, or at least, being near where it's happening.
Exactly.
Mm.
And get this, remote work is becoming more and more common, even in seafood import-export.
Really?
Imagine managing global seafood operations from your home office. It's pretty amazing.
That's wild. So it sounds like a good fit for someone who, well, maybe doesn't love to sit still all day.
You got it.
But the guide does kind of hint at a fast-paced, maybe even a little high-pressure kind of environment.
Yeah, it definitely can be. When you're dealing with perishable goods and navigating the intricacies of international trade, things move fast. Deadlines are tight, and the stakes are high. But hey, you're literally putting food on tables across the globe, and that's a pretty awesome feeling.
All right, so we've established this is not a job for the easily stressed. But for those of you who thrive on a little adrenaline, listen up. The industry itself is changing faster than, well, I don't know, a fish swimming downstream. And that means big opportunities are up for grabs.
Exactly, like riding a wave, right?
Perfect analogy. And the RoleCatcher guide actually backs this up. They're seeing a surge in demand for import-export managers, which is interesting because, a lot of fields are struggling right now, but not this one. What gives? Why is this field booming?
Well, think about it. Globalization, it's like this constantly expanding web, right?
Mm.
More connections, more complexities, especially when it comes to international trade. And as people are developing a taste for more exotic seafood,
Which we are, for sure.
right, the supply chains are getting longer, more intricate. It takes a special kind of expertise to manage that global flow.
Mm.
So the demand for folks who can handle it, skyrocketing.
Makes sense. Anyone can ship a box, but a box of, like, live lobsters, that's a whole different ball game.
Entirely. And it's not just about getting it there in one piece either. The guide actually highlights sustainability and ethics as major concerns these days. This is where things get really interesting.
Right. It's not just what you're bringing in, but how it was produced. Consumers are getting smarter, right?
Absolutely. People want to know their tuna wasn't caught harming dolphins, that their shrimp wasn't farmed in a way that, destroys mangroves. And that's where import-export managers come in. They're becoming guardians of responsible sourcing, making sure the products they're bringing in meet those ethical standards.
So you need to be a logistics pro and an ethics champion. That's a powerful combination.
It is, and it makes the role so impactful. You're not just moving product, you're shaping an entire industry. You know those certifications you see on seafood packaging sometimes? Like MSC Certified Sustainable or ASC Certified Responsible Aquaculture.
Honestly, I usually just grab what looks good, never really paid much attention.
Well, as an import-export manager, you'd be all over that. Knowing exactly what those certifications mean, how they're earned, why they matter, you become a crucial link in the chain.
Wow. Okay. Starting to see how this is so much bigger than it first appears. But let's not forget the tech side of things, because the guide mentions technology advances and, well, you know me, I love a good gadget. What kind of cool tools are we talking about? What's changing the game?
Oh, so much. Cloud-based software is huge. Imagine being able to track shipments in real time, like you're following a delivery on your phone, but on a global scale.
That would make me feel much less anxious. No more wondering where that shipment of Chilean sea bass got lost.
Exactly. And forget about those mountains of paperwork. A lot of that is being automated now.
Yeah.
Frees you up to focus on, the bigger picture. And then there's data analytics. That's where it gets really wild.
It's a billet.
Imagine having so much data in your fingertips that you can anticipate delays before they happen.
Whoa, like predicting the future of fish?
Kind of. You can spot trends, optimize shipping routes, even anticipate shifts in demand. It's incredible. Technology makes it all possible.
All right, so we've explored this exciting world of seafood import-export from, navigating those global logistics to becoming a champion for sustainability.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Right.
But let's get real for a second. Is this career path actually the right fit for you? The guide has a whole pros and cons section, which, always a good reality check.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's unpack those a bit. Let's start with the good stuff, the earning potential.
Right.
The guide mentions good salary, which, makes sense. This is a high-demand, high-responsibility role. You're dealing with valuable products, complex regulations. You got to be on top of your game.
It's not for the faint of heart, but it's rewarding, both personally and, financially.
Music to my ears. But then there's that little thing called, what is it? Long, irregular hours?
Right. The guide doesn't sugarcoat that one.
Not at all. So paint a picture for us. What does that actually look like? Is it all like late night calls and frantic emails while you're trying to enjoy vacation?
It can be sometimes. Different time zones, unexpected issues popping up. It's not your typical 9 to 5, that's for sure. But, the good news is a lot of companies in this field are recognizing the importance of work-life balance. Technology helps too.
Okay, so it's not all bad news.
Not at all. You might be able to handle some things remotely, negotiate your schedule a bit. Finding the right company culture is key. Some organizations really prioritize their employees' well-being.
That's good to hear. Now, the guide does mention high competition for these roles. Sounds like everyone wants to be a seafood superhero. So let's say someone is listening or like, this is it. This is my dream. What do they do? What are some tangible steps they can take to get their foot in the door?
Well, the Getting Started section has some great advice. Internships are huge, even if you're still in school. Shadowing someone, even just getting coffee, that experience, gives you a feel for the industry and helps you build your network.
Networking, always key.
Always. And don't underestimate volunteering. Lots of organizations are involved in international trade, sustainable seafood initiatives. You gain experience, meet people in the field. It's invaluable.
Awesome advice. Okay, now for the question I know everyone's been waiting for. The guide mentions opportunity for international travel, which, come on, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us, paint a picture. What might that travel actually look like for an import-export manager?
All right, picture this. You're on a flight to, say, Japan.
Uh-huh.
But you're not there to relax on a beach. You're headed to a massive seafood expo, checking out new suppliers, the latest tech, maybe even sampling some incredible sushi. It's work, but it's exciting work.
Sign me up. All right, but let's bring it back down to earth for a second. Travel is great, but it can't be all sushi and international flights, right? What does it really take to thrive in this career long term? What are those must-have skills, those personality traits that scream seafood superstar?
Passion for seafood definitely helps.
Yeah.
But seriously, you've got to be adaptable, a problem solver. And the guide lists functions and core abilities, things like negotiation.
Okay, so you're not just haggling over the price of fish, are you?
No. Think bigger picture. You might be negotiating contract terms with a major supplier or securing a better shipping route to reduce your environmental impact.
So you're a diplomat, a negotiator, a sustainability advocate. Is there anything import-export managers don't do?
Well, they probably don't, like, fillet the fish themselves, although, hey, I wouldn't rule it out entirely. But honestly, one thing that stood out to me in the knowledge and learning section is that this isn't a field where you just learn it all and then coast. You have to be a lifelong learner.
It's constantly evolving, right?
Exactly. New
Yep.
regulations, technologies, consumer preferences. You got to stay ahead of the curve. Subscribe to industry publications, attend conferences, network.
Be a sponge. Soak it all up.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of becoming an expert, let's talk about those career stages outlined in the guide. Because it's not like you just jump into this high-flying role overnight, right? There's a path, a progression.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
You start maybe coordinating shipments, handling paperwork. As you gain experience, you move into more strategic roles, maybe developing import-export strategies for the whole company, managing teams, even influencing policy.
So there's real room for growth leadership even if you're starting at an entry level.
Absolutely. And the guide has these cool profiles of people who did just that. Started in entry-level positions, now they're leading global operations. It's inspiring.
It's amazing. So for those of you listening who are intrigued by this fast-paced, ever-changing, incredibly important world of seafood,
It's pretty amazing.
this could be the career for you. And remember, this deep dive, it's just the beginning. We've given you a taste, but there's a whole ocean out there to explore.
Dive in.
On that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, happy exploring.